We're at the Kansas Farm Bureau meeting going on in Manhattan, and pleased to be joined now by native Kansan Dale Moore, who is Executive Director of Public Policy for the American Farm Bureau Federation. And Dale, as we're speaking, we are just hours from the announcement of what the WTO agreed to, what Canada and Mexico could do for retaliatory tariffs. Boy, it doesn't look good for American agriculture.
This is one of the things, Ken, we've been working on. We've been thinking about, hoping, praying that Congress would get something done. The House has got their work done. The Senate's been wrestling, and it's not, you can't blame the Republicans or the Democrats. It's a bipartisan pushback. The process is now Canada, now Mexico can start retaliating. So we've got to get this thing shut down all along. And I know some of the folks out there that strongly support country of origin labeling have said, well, Farm Bureau and others are just trying to throw it under the bus. We've lost every round with this WTO process. We need to get this retaliation shut off and then sit down and work together on what is the next step. How do we get the beef and the pork country of origin kind of back on track in some kind of program, voluntary, whatever it might be. But first, we've got to stop this retaliation.
So if this gets done, we're looking at sometime next year to possibly come in with either a voluntary or some sort of a cutout of the most contentious issues?
Well, here's the bottom line. Both Canadian officials and Mexican officials, but particularly Canada, has made it clear we're not interested in negotiating a deal. We're going to start retaliating until you all repeal mandatory country of origin for beef and pork. Now, the other country of origin programs are still intact. That's why we're wanting to protect this, get it compliant with the World Trade Organization rules, which we've agreed to, get that process stopped, then we can turn around. Now, my hope is they get something passed. If Congress can get something done this winter before they go home for the holidays, before they go home for Christmas, then we can shut this thing off. Then we can spend next year talking about what do we do to make sure that farmers and ranchers, those interested in beef and pork types of origin labeling programs, marking programs, we'll come up with something, but we don't need to do it with the retaliation hanging over our head. Let's put Canada and Mexico back on their side of the borders, get them shut off, and then we'll start working on this other stuff.
Again, a few days left of Congress this year. Tax extenders, it sounds like that may come, but it may be another short-term fix. Is that what you're hearing?
Well, we're hearing a combination. We anticipate that there is hope that we're going to get some of these like Section 179 and bonus depreciation that not only so important to farmers and ranchers, but to the equipment manufacturers and implement dealers that work with us. We're hoping we can get that one made permanent. Now, there's about 57 of these things on the list. They expired, at the first of the year after Congress reinstated them for last year about this time of the year. So what we're really looking for is give us some certainty, give our farmers, our ranchers some certainty as to what these tax provisions are going to be so they can plan for the entire year. Now, if it happens to be for, a short term, then make it at least 2 years so they know what's going to happen next year. But our hope is that Speaker Ryan, the new Speaker of the House, former Ways and Means Chairman, working with his counterparts on the Senate side, Leader McConnell, and Mr. Hatch and those folks, that they'll come up with the package, they can get it passed. But there's, it's sort of like it's the end of the year, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and this is one of those things that is more important, I think, that a lot of folks give it credit.
Waters of the U.S., we kind of know we're kind of dealing with that. Farm Bureau, other groups looking at litigating it in a sense to is the next step. Is that kind of what I guess the next thing is?
Well, I wouldn't say it's the next thing. We're already under litigation in several fronts. There's at least a dozen lawsuits. We've been really pleased not only with all of our partners in other industry sectors, but we've also been getting a lot of help from state officials, attorneys general, the National Association of State Departments of Ag. Folks like that are weighing in. And from an official standpoint, it's almost like, they're saying, well, EPA, you're telling us we're not doing our job regulating these waters at the state and local level. That's one of the things that we've been trying to highlight as well. Now, we've got the litigation going on. We've got the authorizing type legislation going, trying to push them back. We've passed the House. The Senate has been working to move theirs forward. We were using the resolutions process. And finally, there's appropriations. So you've got, on the Senate side, Chairman Roberts with the Ag Committee working that particular angle on it. And then we've got Chairman Moran, who runs the purse strings, Ag Appropriations. And that's sort of our trump card. If we can't do anything else, we can at least take their money away for a year. And I think we're going to get there, but it's going to be, a hammer and tong kind of fight.
All right, so as we look, the days away from 2016. That is when people start paying closer attention to the presidential election. The House is all up, a third of the Senate's up. I think, is that right? This may be the short end, but anyway, a lot of people looking to election, re-election, so on. What does that mean for getting anything done next year? Anything that's left over that doesn't get done in December?
Well, for guys like me who make a living talking a lot, next year is just going to be like an overload, because when you have an election year divisible by 4 with an outgoing president who's not running for re-election. So we've got, still a couple dozen folks that have got their hat in the ring to be president of the United States, all of the House, third of the Senate. So everything that goes on next year is going to have a lot of theater, a lot of drama. Solutions are going to be what's in short supply. What I have asked folks for when they say, Dale, what would you like for Christmas? I'd like for Congress to be given a large heaping dose of common sense, a heaping dose of will to get a lot of this work done. And then we can sit back and have all the fun that an election year brings to us and watching the pageantry of it. But man, we got a lot of work to do. And I don't think we can just sit back and let hearings and let statements and let the politics of the bully pulpit kind of rule the year next year.
Do we have till Easter? Is that what you're maybe thinking, or do you think we may get in before summer recess?
Well, I'm a little more optimistic. I think we're going to like to Easter to get a lot of the seeds planted, and then they're going to want to get a lot of the harvesting done before August rolls around, so they can go home and show folks what they've accomplished. That's what I'm praying for, and that's what we'll work for. And I'm at least right until we get to next August.
That's it. All right. Anything else, Dale? We got everything covered?
Well, I just want to tell you thank you for all the work that you do on behalf of farmers and ranchers. You know, guys like me appreciate the work that you all do to let folks know across the countryside what is going on in Washington, not only what we're up to, but what you're, hearing and bringing those. When you ask the questions, it's like, whoa, I didn't know that. I better go do some homework.
Good. All right, Dale Moore, who's Executive Director of Public Policy for American Farm Bureau Federation, has joined us at the KFB meeting going on in Manhattan. I'm Ken Rogers.